So it's Tuesday, February 23rd, and yes, there is NFL news because the franchise tag, you can officially sign players, one per team, but there are many different options. So you might have been playing Madden, having a really good time and getting to the end of your season, and you were allowed to franchise tag somebody. But what does that franchise tag really mean? Plus, all the possible candidates who might actually receive some sort of franchise tag in 2021. So stick around. All of this and more coming up next on Titan Upload. Be all adjusted on the franchise tag, but we will get into some other things. J.J. Watt had some interesting John Clayton, but it's changed a little bit as usually free agency does. I don't think John Clayton has the slightest clue what's going on. I don't even think J.J. Watt knows. For someone to come out and just say Pittsburgh is no longer on the table, I mean, I retweeted it. You can follow me at Titan Upload. It's 27. The T and the L are capitalized. But I kind of get into it a little bit of John Clayton and all that kind of stuff. I would just hold off on that for at least a couple more weeks before we start diving in. You guys remember all the Brady drama. I'm just telling you. You can agree or disagree with me, but I don't know. I'd kind of steer a little bit away from that situation as of right now. The question becomes, can the Tennessee Titans create enough cap room? But there's some other intriguing stories out there. The Buccaneers, what do they do? Are they going to go with Godwin, the wide receiver? Are they going to go the other way with Shaq Barrett? I think that really does have an impact on a lot of teams, including the Titans. If they don't franchise tag Barrett again for the second straight year, which you're going to have to raise at 20%, then he becomes on the market. And I think he'll still be a little bit out of our price range, but who knows? Dallas Cowboys, what are they going to do with Dak Prescott? There's another situation. What are they going to do? So, again, that doesn't really interfere with us, but if you're a Bears fan, it might, because there's not a lot of quarterbacks other than Deshaun Watson. I don't know, are you going to buy into Darnold or not? So, again, thanks again for joining us. I will get to your comments here really, really quick. I did want to apologize. This should be Tuesday Night Lights. So I went ahead and edited it because some of you guys were calling me out. Hey, upload. It wasn't Tuesday, but this is kind of like my backdrop for Tuesday. Titan Upload Radio is officially going to kind of start off. I've been kind of promoting it a little bit. I'm super pumped about it. There'll be a portion of the show where you can call in. I'd actually love for you to call in. So, if you are a member of the Flick Chat, you definitely will get top priority for at least the next couple weeks as we're kind of working our way into this so we can be at the professional level the best we can. I thought it went pretty well with Titans and Truth. And, when we were on the other day in NGB Talk, I thought it went quite well. We had Jordan calling the show. We had The Culture, Jason from The Culture calling the show. And then Michael called in the show at the very end. And we had our little speed bumps, but for the most part, it went well. I did open the show, even though I was muted, but I did open the show and giving a shout out to Titans and Truth Chris. I know his show is on 6:30 on Wednesday, so I did want to give him a shout out. We don't usually go on Wednesdays, but that's why we're going a little bit later today at 8:05. So again, let me get to your comments. Let's see how you guys are doing. Again, Titan Upload Radio. Super pumped. This thing could be a game changer. I hope you're involved. I hope you're a part of this. Spicy says, let's go. Big stream. Let's see. Easy Andy Nutton. I'm hoping the franchise Jonnu. What's going on? Best from the Titans United Kingdom. Nice. CJ2K says we need a franchise because we don't want to lose Jonnu and Corey this offseason. We'll get into that a little bit. Franchise tag Wyatt Ray or no one? Good one. Good one. I'd play some applause, but I don't have them memorized yet. Keisha says, Alex, what is with you? Love for the Wyatt Ray. Let's see. Spicy top 3 for J.J. Watt. We will get into that a little bit. I promise you that. We will get into that a little bit later in the show. Fusion, what's going on? Teak, I think Ferkser might be our guy over Jonnu. Peyton says, let's go. Teak says, don't get me wrong. Jonnu's really, really good. We're back on it for sure. Dixie Craft, shout out to you. Oiler Titan, no Titan player deserves to be franchised. That's one way to put it. We'll see what happens today. This is more of a non-formal, we're going to talk a lot about the Titans, but, we will talk about other teams as well. So we'll see who's in the house. Chris, all 32 teams are going to struggle placing the tag. You're right. The franchise tag, are one thing, and seeing the numbers, and I'll show you those. But on the other thing, with you're talking about salary cap, I mean, we might be down 15 million or whatever it is. So it's definitely a concern for a lot of teams. That's probably why you haven't seen a lot of moves. That's a really good comment, Chris. I'm going to go ahead and star that one. We'll come back to it later. Sauce, happy to see you. So let's dive into this. We got 50 of you. I'm going to hit record. So the podcast is officially started. Sorry, that's just something else I'm doing. We are getting into the franchise tag. What is it? What does it mean? Are the Titans, are many other teams, what are they going to use it? Who do we expect it to use? All that kind of stuff. So let's dive right into this. So here we go. Boom. We're off and we're running. So the first thing we want to look at are the types of franchise tags, right? And if you play Madden, which I do, okay, I think a lot of us play Madden. Sin 2 times, Jonah, Shine, I see you guys in the house. I'll definitely get to your comments. But these are the 3 different types of tags. And John Robinson and many other GMs from different teams, I know we have a Buffalo fan in here and stuff like that. Everybody's got to run down this. It's just part of the game. What do you do? What do you not do? So the first one, the non-exclusive franchise tag, this is the one where you would get some compensation for it. And right now, if you're playing Madden, I believe they go specifically with number or letter B, because you don't get any matching in Madden and you don't get to use a transition tag. It's either you franchise tag them for the amount or you don't. That's basically what happens. So when we're looking at it, I believe Madden should take that step in the franchise mode next year. And this isn't a Madden ploy or anything, but if you're going to have Derrick Henry on the cover, right? If you're going to have Henry on the cover, then it would be a good idea to at least get your A game and go all in. The other thing I'm really looking forward to, since we're speaking of Madden, and if it's going to be Derrick Henry, which we think it's going to be, they better get the hair right? They better get the ponytail right. He doesn't wear what they basically show what he's wearing. He's got that long ponytail together, right? And that's Derrick Henry, and I love it. So hopefully the game can get that in there. Also, we also hope Bussin' with the boys will reach out to Derrick one more time and make him an official member. I think he's earned it. So let's dive into some of these tags, and then we will get into your comments as we kind of go through here. So this is Titan Upload Live. In case you're kind of just watching or listening on the podcast, we will be on Spotify. We are on Apple. We are on Google, and I think we're all over the place. So if you want to find that, list to your car. That's really why I'm excited about the call-in show. So let's move on with this real quick. So the next thing, rules of the tag. So a player can only be tagged 3 times. Teams can only use it once per year. Now, this is a big misconception. So, for example, like the Tennessee Titans cannot transition tag Corey Davis and put a non-exclusive tag on Jonnu Smith. Now, it was in the new CBA. It was supposed to be. They debated it. They talked about it. But at the end of the day, they still are only going to roll with 1. Now, it would be nice if you were the Titans that you could franchise tag it kind of 2 different players. That would be your advantage. But for the player's advantage, it's not an advantage. Like Dak Prescott wants to be a free agent. Yes, the price goes up every year you get tagged up to your 3rd year by like 20%. So that's why many people don't think Shaq Barrett's going to be franchise tag in Tampa Bay. But the bigger picture, the bigger issue here is, and many of you have commented on this, is like, when I show you the values here, some of these are really jacked up. Like, are you going to pay Corey Davis 16, 17 million for the franchise tag? I don't think you do. Now, Ken Moore, shout out to Ken Moore, he would say you would. It's just kind of all based on what the GM and how they value these players. And then, like I said, the last part of this is you get a raise each year, you get franchise tag. Now, remember, if you're a player, you play the 1 year on the franchise tag. A lot of players are looking for that top end contract. So you're really, on one end, you're saying, hey, you get to be top 5 salary because that's what the tags are, other than the transition tag, which is top 10, which we'll get into that. But if you're the top 5, what's really interesting about this is you do get a nice payday for the year, but you get no realistic long-term stability. You know, we all want stability in our jobs and professions, and many of us don't have that, and many of us do. So it just all depends on what type of job you do. But when you look at this, at the end of the day, like I say about 1,000 times, this is going to really hurt certain players who are especially in their prime. This is the one thing I was hoping we weren't going to do with Derrick Henry's franchise tag in the next 2 years and then get rid of him, because honestly, on the surface, it makes sense. It's only $8 million or whatever, and I think the Green Bay Packers could do that with Aaron Jones. But on the other end of the spectrum, how much Derrick Henry has put into this team, how much they've basically rode Derrick Henry, it wasn't very fair to him either to just do that to him. So there's a little bit of that. Finally, let's get into this and we'll get into your comments. Non-exclusive tag, again, top 5% from each position. Teams can only match. All right? They can match it. So, like, for example, if I'm Jonnu Smith, if we put a non-exclusive tag on him, Madden does not have this. Jonnu can go out and negotiate with other teams. And let's say the Chargers lose Henry and they come back to the table and they're like, all right, we're willing to pay Jonnu Smith 5 years for $45 million for whatever that comes out to being. The Titans will either say, yes, we'll take that, and then they will basically take over the payments and Jonnu Smith is theirs, or the Titans will say, well, okay, you can have him, but you'll have to give us 2 first-round picks. So a lot of teams would love to put their players on this because, honestly, when you see some of the list, some of these teams are like, would be okay with getting 2 first-round picks. I ask you this, Titan fans, and don't go for the Isaiah Wilson thing, but if I could say, hey, somebody else would take Jonnu Smith for 2 first-round picks. How about Corey Davis? Like, you at least get something in return, which leads me to and this is the most common form, which leads me to my next thing, right? So on one end, it's non-exclusive. The exclusive one, you are not allowed to negotiate. This is the Madden model. This is exactly what you get, okay? Still the same rules, top 5% of the position. You do not get to negotiate, and this is yours. Now, the only team that can negotiate in all these transition tags, specifically, all 3 of them are the actual team. So like Jonnu Smith, for example, the Titans would get to negotiate with him a little extra longer. We did this last year with Derrick Henry. I want to say we use the exclusive tag on Derrick Henry. I'm not even sure we use the non-exclusive tag. If I'm wrong, I do apologize about that. But I don't think they wanted Derrick Henry to get to the open market. They knew how important he was. I don't know if anybody would have gave 2 first-round picks for Derrick Henry. Maybe, maybe not. But at the end of the day, they want to be able to have extra time to work out a deal. So that's just kind of what's going. Chris says he read an article about the cap flexibility, which bodes well for us. It's going to be no lower, right, guys, than $180 million. So that's good. Vampiric's in the house. What's going on, Vampiric? I haven't seen you in a while, man. I emailed you back, but Vampiric in the house. Good to see you. So we'll move on with a little bit from this. But that's the exclusive. So the only one we got left was the transition tag. The Titans are out. They get nothing in return. That's why teams are on one end top 10% now. So Jonnu Smith's salary will be lowered for that one season. So it's very tempting for teams to do this. I may argue this may be worth a chance if you're the Titans, because I think a lot of the teams we'll get to here in a minute, we mentioned this the other day, do you overvalue these guys? Just because they're a Titan, do you think, hey, these guys are awesome, and then in return, other teams, maybe they like Jonnu Smith, but are they willing to give him that kind of money? This allows you. So if I was the Bears and you were really considering Mitch Trubisky or not, this might be a nice play for the Bears to do. Just give them the transition tag. You get the salary even lower. I think it's like $21 million. And if you're willing or you're kind of on the fence about bringing Trubisky back, you could play this on him. The Titans could do this too with Corey Davis. But here's the sad part. You only can do one player. So you can't take it back. You can't just say, hey, here you go, Corey Davis, and then a week later take it back and then pick Jonnu Smith. It doesn't work like that. So once you're in, you're in. That's why a lot of teams wait to the very end to go ahead and place those kind of tags. Million. This is not the transition tag. This would be the franchise tag, one of the two ones, the exclusive or non-exclusive. But if I'm a Titans fan, I'm looking at the tight end position. I'm looking at the linebacker position because of Jayon Brown. And I'm looking at the wide receiver position. I'm looking at all 3 of those. Now, the interesting thing is these are projection models. These aren't exactly 100% true. But, you know, if you're Tampa Bay, for example, and you got to deal with Barrett, you know, a lot of these players, for example, with tight end, like Kelsey. Kelsey's kind of more of a receiver than a blocker, but yet Kelsey, see the difference in $6 million. So a lot of these guys are really tempted to go in a different direction. If you're on defense as well, you're really tempted to play a different position as well. Defensive end, linebacker, defensive tackle. A lot of those guys can flip-flop and play different positions, be multi-versatile like Vrabel wants. Even cornerbacks and safeties, big difference there, $4 million. And if that's your career and that's your season. So that's kind of the tag price. So keep those in note, especially if you're a Titans fan. Tight end, $10 million. Wide receiver, 16, and then linebacker, 15.6. Keep those in check there real quick. And then finally the players, which we'll spend a little bit of time on this. But the players, this is just in general who we expect to be tagged or have a good chance to be tagged. Now, Jonnu Smith, just depends on who you want to listen to. A lot of people think he will be tagged. Teron Davenport from ESPN noted he would tag Jonnu Smith. But see, the problem with some of this stuff, and we get through it over and over, is just because Teron Davenport, which is a great guy, would tag Jonnu Smith, does not mean that John Robinson's going to tag Jonnu Smith. So people take those clippings, those sayings, and then they put the rumor aspect on it, and they make it seem like it's coming from the team, and it's not. I don't know what they do with Jonnu Smith. I think that's very, very interesting. But the one thing is, Detroit, it's kind of rumored that they're going to use the tag on Galladay. If you use the tag on the Chargers' Hunter Henry, which Colts fans would love to have Hunter Henry, he's been franchise tagged before, so you're going to have to bump his salary up even 20% more, which will make him the second leading tight end as far as money goes, right under Kelsey. Is he the second best tight end in the league? I can't answer that. Dak Prescott is going to rack in a fortune. I even wrote it down before the show started. Dak Prescott, and I have those transition numbers as well if you're interested, but if the Titans wanted to go that way, Dak Prescott would make $37.7 million this season, according to the latest estimate. Transition tag, if I want to go back there really quick. So the quarterback, for example, would drop from 24 to 21. Running back would drop from 11 to 8.9. That's what a lot of people think the Green Bay Packers are going to use on Aaron Jones. Tight end, Jonnu Smith, if you wanted to go this route, 10.1 to 8.5. I think Jonnu Smith is definitely worth 8.5. Wide receiver, Corey Davis, 16.4 to 14.2. I don't know if that's really doing anything for you. Linebacker, 15.6 to 13.4. Again, are you going to pay Jayon Brown 13.4? You do not. Just because you franchise tag somebody or transit, you can still work out a deal. So that is something to keep note on. All right. But one more time, let's put these up there. If I can get it to work, this has been a nightmare. But this is the expectation. Carolina really likes Moton, the lineman. The Bears, they have nobody else to play wide receiver. A lot of us would love to have Allen Robinson. I think he'd cost too much. But Denver, I'm pretty sure, is going to franchise tag Simmons. Shaq Barrett, I have Shaq Barrett on there. But again, he's going to be 20% more. So maybe you would say Godwin there. But there might be a lot of wide receivers. Pass rushers just don't grow on trees. Ask John Robinson and Coach Vrabel that one. But again, the big names on here for me personally, because I'm a Titans fan, Jonnu Smith, Corey Davis, or Jayon Brown. Those are really the only options I would think for a tag. And I've already mentioned wide receiver and linebacker may cost an awful lot. So thank you so much for getting that through, giving me time to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit stop on the record here for the podcast. If you like the podcast, don't forget to keep following the show here on YouTube. So tighten up, and we'll see you soon. So the podcast is officially done. So that went pretty well. So let's move on to what we got going on here. So again, leave your comments. We'll get to your comments. What do you want to do with franchise tag options? Do you want to do anything with a franchise tag? So let's get into this. So thanks again for joining here. We got a couple super chats as well. Jeremy, to start, he says, I hope we can get right this offseason because next year's schedule is no joke. You are right about that. Next year's schedule will put us against the Rams, who are probably in it to win it since trading for Stafford, 49ers, Seahawks and even the Cardinals are improving, and we don't want to see Hopkins, but we're going to see Hopkins again. And then not to mention you're playing a first-place schedule, so you'll play the Chiefs, for example. The AFC East, Buffalo's pretty good. Miami's becoming better. New England will get most of their players back who opted out. Jets, I mean, they did upset some teams at the end of the year. They beat the Rams in Los Angeles, so nothing's going to be easy. And then obviously playing the first place Steelers. We're not sure what's going to happen with Big Ben there. We do dodge one, I think, because I think the Ravens will be better next year. And then playing, like I said, with the Chiefs. So we know the Colts will be better. We know the Texans probably aren't going to be very good. And then the Jaguars, I think, are still a couple years away. But that's thank you so much for the super chat. And then Dixie Craft, another super chat, says, just checked out the salary according to Titans Wire. We have a positive cap, nearly $3 million, tough road ahead. Now, I do want to spend a little bit of time on this because I think it's valuable to spend it on and not to fall for this because I see a lot of this as my head's covered up, but that's okay. The Tennessee Titans or any team, if you're a Bills fan, you're a Steelers fan, whatever the case is, majority of the league is in trouble as far as salary cap because nobody predicted a decline of almost $15 million. But here's the one thing you'll hear. It's easy to get rid of. It's easy to create cap room. It's easy. It's easy. Upload. It's just super easy to do. We could create 30, 40, 50 million tomorrow if we wanted to. Sure, you could. But here's the problem. Number one, the easiest way to create more cap room is to cut a player. So if you're the Titans, you've already told me you will not cut Ben Jones, who would basically net you about $6 million. But if you cut Ben Jones, then you got to find someone who wants to play center. If you really want to get into this, and I mean, if you're really kind of questioning it, trust me, if you're a little bit older and you got a kid or a couple kids, or you got your friends have kids, ask them about Madden. Because I think Madden puts it into really perspective. When you finish the season, you can't keep everybody. And if you choose to get rid of a few to keep others, then you're going to create roster spot holes that you need. Now, real good teams like the Patriots, why were they so good for so many years? Yes, Tom Brady is a very important piece of that and Bill Belichick. But they were able to get rid of players before they started to decline. And they did a very good job of collecting draft picks and not drafting Isaiah Wilson's. Really. I mean, Isaiah Wilson is a huge setback for the Tennessee Titans. Many other teams can rebound. I mean, Kelly is a backup right tackle who basically got the starting job. We had a 2,000-yard rusher. We made it to the playoffs. We won the division. I don't think it had anything to do with how Dennis Kelly was playing. I thought Dennis Kelly's solid. Okay? Is he the best right tackle in the league? Heck no. Is he the worst? Heck no. He's an average right tackle. He's fine. Durable, lasted the season, perfectly fine with him, and he's cheap. Left tackle, Taylor Lewan. One of the better tackles in the league, even though people don't want to give him credit for it. But Taylor Lewan missed since week 5 or whatever it was when we went down against the Bills, which I have no idea what Arthur Smith was having him do. He literally ran from one end or one sideline to the other to try to block the cornerback, and he had him do some sort of weird turn, and he tore his ACL. Like, whoever's going to run the offense, Todd Downing, don't run that play anymore. That was a terrible play call. You don't want to run your left tackle, even though he's athletic, like a running back out there. It's never going to end well, and it didn't for us. But my point is this. There's many different directions you can go to create cap room. I do agree with you there. But cutting the player is easy. The problem is you got to replace them. So some will be like, well, why don't you cut Adoree Jackson? Why don't you cut Malcolm Butler? And you create almost $22 million right there. My response to you is, okay, you're going to run the season with your starting corner, which is going to be you already cut Malcolm Butler. It's going to be Christian Fulton, and you're going to try to re-sign King, which will be $6, $7, $8 million. So now you subtract the 22, and then what do? Do you draft another corner? My point is this. Now you got to fill the corner spot. So many of us put it in the perspective, too, where we're like, okay, let's go in and not re-sign Corey Davis, not re-sign Jayon Brown, Guys, that doesn't include your cap room. That is not counting against the cap. So when you see $3 million or 1.7, that does not include anything with Corey Davis. So if you remove Corey Davis, he doesn't re-sign with the Titans, you are not getting 16, 17, 18 million to add to your floor. So that's another misconception. The final one is, which would be nice, and the Steelers are going to try to do this with Big Ben, is restructure. I think you could probably go to Taylor Lewan and try to restructure. Doesn't mean Lewan's going to get less money. You just kind of play around with it, give him more of a signing bonus so it doesn't hurt against your cap. I think you should do the same thing with Kevin Byard. Try to find a way. I might even go to Kevin and maybe give him, I'm not sure how you restructure exactly, but I'd probably go to those two and then see where you're at. But creating cap room is not as easy as people predict it is. It's just not, okay? It's not. It's not easy. And if it was really easy, and people will pinpoint, somebody already did on Twitter today, Kansas City Chiefs. But Mahomes, if you go look at his contract, yes, he got paid a ton, but I don't think that actually kicks into like year 3, year 4. He's still only making a certain amount of money against the cap. It says, smash the like for your boy, give him the support. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Any word on J.J. Watt coming to the Titans? Now, this was another thing that I heard today a little bit where J.J. Watt, supposedly John Clayton came out, was going to do a video on him. Like, yeah. But things change so much that by the time you go out and you report something, 5 minutes later it changes and then it's done. So John Clayton earlier today reported that the Titans were a finalist. Us, the Bills, and the Packers. Of course, us and the Packers have literally no cap room. The Packers are worse than us as far as cap room goes. And they still have some other decisions what they want to do. And the Steelers were supposedly out. And the Raiders were a dark horse because, you know, the Raiders always got to get in there somewhere. But then apparently John Clayton went on a radio show because this thing blew up. People started misquoting him, taking something out of context as usual, and saying he came down to his top 3. And Clayton says, no, it's not a top 3. It can change. So my response to that is, if it can change, then what's the point of even reporting it? It's just a bunch of talk. It's a bunch of crap. You can buy into it. You cannot buy into it. It's exciting at times. It's not exciting. I remember we were supposedly in the race for supposedly the landing spot for not only Tom Brady, but Antonio Brown and all that stuff. And it just changes. We know we really weren't a possibility for Brady. We were in with Tannehill. Both parts were trying to move each other as far as get the price down on Tannehill and give Brady more of a leverage wherever he wanted to go. But that's the latest we have on J.J. Watt. Like, Firkser is a great tight end as far as, like, he doesn't cost much. He goes out and catches the football. He literally catches everything, but he's not a great blocker. And because he's not a great blocker, that really does hurt him as being an all-around tight end to have on the field. So as a number 1 tight end, I do not think Firkser could be a number 1 tight end. Now, where he's at right now, he's kind of like that role tight end. He does a really, really good job. The Bears are pretty dumb. Probably won't tag, Michael says. They should, right? They should. What is your take on Trubisky? I mean, the Bears, they missed out on Stafford, not that the Lions would trade there. They missed out on Wentz, even though there was reported that they were all in on Wentz. Are they going to get Deshaun Watson? I mean, there's a chance, possibly. There's a lot of people think they might go for a J.J. Watt again. I mean, I don't know what the Bears are doing. I personally, the grass is not always greener on the other side. Let's just say that. It's not always greener on the other side. The problem you're going to have there is if another team does come out of the woodwork, what if Jacksonville comes out? They have a lot more cap room than us, and maybe they just love Jonnu Smith so much they see something out of him, or maybe Arthur Smith. He's like, wow, I learned a lot from Jonnu Smith of what worked, what didn't work. I could really use him in Atlanta now. If you can't pay up or the price is way too high, then I guess you're out. Like, it's it. It's done. You lost your transition tag, so you don't get to tag anyone else now. You don't get the tight end anymore. He went with the Falcons or the Jaguars. You're just out. So that would be the only risk. But $8.5 million. If nobody comes to the table, nobody's willing to give him a contract, you don't got to pay him $8.5 million. That would be a catch. JD. Yes. Titans and Truth. What's going on? How was the show, Titans and Truth? I gave you a shout out in the beginning. Unfortunately, I was muted, right? So only me. But then we came back and gave you another shout outs. But yeah, definitely go over there and check out Titans and Truth. He was here on Sunday. We're hoping he comes back this Sunday for Tight Upload Live. And hopefully we don't have any issues. But we had to get it. We're going to get into pass rush. We're going to get into pass rush this week on Titan Upload Live at 8 o'clock on Sunday night. So hopefully you guys can make it. Keisha said she'd take Mariota as a backup. Steven's all for it. Shine's for it. Adam's for it. Adam's a new Titans fan, right? He loves the Packers, but he's for it. JD says worth the money. Seneca's on board. Peyton says yes. Michael, he says yes, Keisha. I'm just not as sold on Jonnu as some are. Steven's on board. Walkie-talkie TV. We need to get rid of Humphreys and Ferkser. That's your answer. We need we need to get rid of Ferkser. Ferkser's already gone. Thank you so much for the comment, Walkie-talkie. Ferkser's already gone, but the other end of that one would be you're going to bring him back because he's going to be so cheap, but he's not going to cost you anything on your cap right now. I mean, if you don't bring him back, he's not. So we have some phone calls, and I will take phone calls. Just go ahead and call back. I don't have everything ready to go for I wasn't ready for the phone call. I'll make an announcement in the show, like you guys can call in, but I got to get a couple things, ready to go for that just to get on the spot. So once I see the call come through, I will answer it. So thank you. Let's see. Salah says if we go cheap, not winning the Super Bowl anytime soon. Tag Jonnu says John Lewis, best option. We need 3 tight ends back, says Crucial Cam. Mariota to the Bears. That would be a nice fit. Michael says, let Humphreys walk, keep Jonnu and Corey, get a wide receiver in the draft. Chris says, where can we suffer more, tight end or wide receiver? If CD goes, we are improving outside of him and A.J. Brown. You're right about that. There's nobody else that can come right in here to take that spot. Adam Humphreys, injury issues, and then Cam Batson, Raymond, if you want to go any undrafted, or you want to bring in somebody from the draft. Again, Jefferson worked out, right? I'm always for giving Mason Kinsey a chance here. I think he deserves it. He earns it. I'd love to see what he can do out there. But again, if you're just sitting there, you don't have someone that can just fill in 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", that type of wide receivers Corey Davis is, and just perform. I mean, that person does not exist on the roster. Westbrook is not the guy, I don't think. Like he's got a role, but I don't think he's your number 2 receiver. JD says, Jayon. So we got a call. So hold on, we got a call here. Let me go ahead and answer it. Hello, can you hear?
Hello?
You're online with Titan Upload.
Hi, I was just wondering, do you think J.J. Watt, was a third favorite?
Can you say that one more time? I'm having trouble hearing you.
Do you think J.J. Watt is his third favorite team?
Oh.
Top 3?
Yeah, what's your name?
Houston?
Hey, Houston, what's going on, buddy? So Houston wants to know if J.J. Watt is the third made the top 3. I think we talked about that a little bit, Houston. John Clayton did come out with that and did kind of make it seem like the Titans were number 3 or number 2, number 1 with Buffalo and Green Bay. But at the end of the day, he came on the radio later in the day and said, I really didn't mean that's the only 3. It's just kind of like options. And I think anyone that needs pass rush help, anyone that needs any kind of connection, you're talking about a great player who's going to go to the Hall of Fame. J.J. Watt would help out anybody at this point. I think you're probably going to have an option for him. Whether you're going to be able to bring him in, again, you can offer him, but J.J. Watt is going to get to pick where he wants to go. That's why he was released by the Texans. Otherwise, they would have traded him and got something in return. But thank you so much, Houston, for the call. Take care. Tighten up, buddy.
Bye.
All right. So that's kind of how it works. That was kind of on cue, but I did miss the call, so I do apologize. Where you can get the number to call in is on Flick Chat for right now, but as we move forward with this, I will debut the number. I'll have it on there, and you guys can call in for sure. You guys are doing well. This is a very interesting downtime here for football, but the franchise tag opening up yesterday at least gives us a little bit more to talk about. Thankfully, everything's okay with Tiger Woods. I haven't really followed it too much today, but we were following it yesterday, and it looked awful. And I do want to spend the next 10 seconds really kind of upset at some of the media who wanted to take it into their own hands and comment on it before they knew the facts. Thankfully, though, it wasn't as bad as it looked, and it wasn't as bad as what was reported, and it looks like Tiger Woods is going to be okay. I'm ready for the season to start. I am too. I'm ready for it to start. Two Tone says, smash that like button. Sauce says, yes, tighten up that like button. Daniel Pope says, plus the Colts, I think the Colts now have a semi-mobile quarterback. It's a good point, too. And they got a lot of cap room. So that's not very good. Not very good. Adam says, hit the like button. So I think we're about ready to call it. I did want to go back one more time and just share a few more things with you, kind of what we're talking about with the slide. So if you haven't, I'm going to play a little advertisement. Out of like NFL Network have all been no on Jonnu Smith. But I think if you transition tag him, and if you're going to lose him anyways, and you're not going to tag anyone else, then the transition tag is perfect to use for Jonnu Smith, because if all else fails and nobody comes to the table, you can get Jonnu Smith for roughly around $8.5 million for 1 year, and then you can figure out what you want to do with him. Maybe it's a test run again and then sign him at the end of the year. That would be a perfect thing for him. Now, the flip side of it, Washington could come around and offer him $9 million, and if you're not willing to pay him $9 million, you lose Jonnu Smith. You don't get any reward like the non-exclusive franchise tag. So we did go through all the different tags with you. Let me go back here. So there's the transition tag. We kind of talked, that's top 10, so these numbers are a lot lower. Then we got into the tag price. These are the franchise tag price, so we went over that. I told you to pay attention to linebacker, tight end, and wide receiver for Titans. But if, you're a Packers fan, I know Adam's in the house. We have, Bears fans, Bills fans from all the teams. You can pinpoint the free agents that you don't want to lose and you're considering tagging, and this is the estimate of what it's going to cost you. And then we talked about the exclusive tag, how this is Dak Prescott got this last year, for example. It's players that other teams would be willing to give up two number one picks. Like, you don't think the Bears would give up 2 number 1 picks for Dak Prescott? I think they would. So they want to use an exclusive tag because they don't want him to be able to go negotiate. Now, if you don't care about the person and you don't want to lose them, but you would love to have 2 first-round picks for him, the non-exclusive tag is going to be it. Now, remember, the exclusive tag is probably that's the one Madden uses, just to pinpoint that, just to let you kind of know. So, again, we'll take a few more comments, and we are out. Let's see. Let's go back to boom. So we got no tag for Ferkser. No, you're not going to spend a tag on Ferkser. You're going to be able to. Ferkser's in a whole new element because I believe he was an undrafted free agent. So he actually goes through a whole different process, and you'll probably be able to get Ferkser for like $2 million, realistically. At our cap spaces, at least we aren't the Saints. That's true. Or the Rams, who have like a ton of dead cap. So, but hey, thank you so much. We will be breaking stories here or there throughout the week. Anything that comes up, maybe we'll do something on it. Otherwise, we'll see you on Sunday nights. And JDW Sports Talk Show. Good to see you as well. So, hey, you guys were awesome. Thanks for all the super chats tonight. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the likes. All those kind of good stuff. Thanks for the suggestions. Thanks for sticking with me, even though we were going on mute for a big portion of the time. Sorry about that. But you guys are awesome. Take care and tighten up.